Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this forum that we call Tuesday Talks, where we have eminent speakers, specialists, who would come and speak to you about various topics that are not only of interest to us, but help us to understand our lives better. And what better way than to have one of our most eminent speakers today to tell us all about de-addiction in today's, which are today's lifestyle problems, right? And how do we do that? We asked Dr. Anand Patil, who is the consultant psychiatrist and de-addiction specialist, to tell us that what are those kinds of addictions and what are those special other addictions which we do not even understand as addictions, and help us understand, comprehend, get it better for the people in our lives, right? So thank you, Dr. Patil, for joining us. Let me just tell the people a little bit about you. May I request Apurva, could you kindly pin us both so that we are the only ones on the screen? If that's possible. Apurva, could you bring us onto the screen, please? Okay. All right. So as Dr. Patil has told us, that addictions are of various types. The common ones known to us are alcohol, smoking, and drugs. But there are behavioral addictions too, which are more common. Dr. Patil has a holistic approach that addresses the root cause of the addiction. In addition to addiction management, and he has various stress-related programs too. He runs a Sahara De-Addiction and Rehabilitation Center in Nashik, which combines the Alcoholic and Narcotics Anonymous principles with the healing power of art-based therapy to help individuals overcome their addictions and achieve lasting recovery. And how does he do that? His use of various art forms such as painting, music, and dance helps clients express themselves creatively, reduces their stress, and improves their emotional well-being. It helps bring a positive shift and changes the whole perspective of his patients. Along with that, spiritual practices like meditation and mindfulness are also integrated into the program to help his clients find meaning and purpose in their lives. Dr. Patil helps promote self-awareness, self-discovery, and personal growth, leading to a more fulfilling life free from addiction. So what better things that we can know about is ask the person, the doctor himself, to tell us how to lead a de-addiction and addiction-free life. Welcome, Dr. Patil. And now the stage is yours. Over to you. Please tell us all.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Aarti, for the kind introduction. And it's a pleasure always to be associated with the Redikall family. So today's topic is, we are talking about addictions. These are today's lifestyle problems. So like Aarti said, we know of various addictions, like the substance addictions, like alcohol, ganja, weed, marijuana, tobacco, smoking, and the various drugs. But in addition to that, there are behavioral addictions also, which are more rampant in the society. So what is addiction? Addiction is basically a state of psychological and physical dependence on a substance or on an activity. So what is dependence? That the person cannot do without it. And there is a compulsive nature to it. There is a compulsive seeking in spite of knowing that it is harmful for them. That's why it is not just a habit. There's something else to it. It's like a disease. Because in the various studies on the people who are addicted to various substances and behaviors, it has been known that these substances, they bring about a change in the brain chemistry, in the brain circuits related to reward, self-control. And that is the reason why it is known as a disease, not just a habit. So the common behavioral addictions that most people fall into are the internet addiction. Since the internet revolution, most of the thing we have become so dependent on internet to do all communication, our work, everything. Our social life is also dependent on the internet. So internet addiction is coming up in a very big way. Then related to that, there are the screen addictions, the social media addictions. People are hooked onto the Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and those channels, like YouTube, where there are short videos. They are so addicting. The 60 seconds, 30 seconds videos. People just can't stop scrolling, and they do not know how much time goes by. So, in addition to that, there are these video game addictions. Then there is shopping addiction nowadays because of the various apps like Amazon and Mantra and Flipkart, and there's so many offers they are sending that people are tempted to buy things which they don't need also, just because there is a good offer. And I know a few people who just cannot do without buying something. Their hands are itching to press the buttons. So shopping addiction is also coming up in a very big way. One of my clients, his mother was saying that, we can open a shop now. We have so many things at home. And likewise, there is food addiction. You can say, the carbohydrate addictions, or, the addiction, craving for sweets. So that is coming up in a big way because, most people use food as a way of combating stress, shopping as a way of combating stress. And in addition to that, there is gambling addiction. There are so many apps nowadays, the Rummy app is there, then the cricket apps are there, Dream 11, and there are, other casino like apps also, like the Roulette, and so many other apps, which are giving people opportunities to bet their money in the hope that they'll make it big or higher returns. But it's a vicious cycle and people just go in the downward spiral. So gambling addiction is also very severe. And of course, one of the addictions that is coming up in a big way because of the social media and WhatsApp is the love and the sex addiction. So these are examples of behavioral addictions, in addition to the other addictions that we know of, like the common ones like alcohol, tobacco, nicotine addictions, and the drug use. So these addictions, they often start with curiosity. Like various substances, are often tried by youngsters because they've been waiting for so long, to have their freedom to do things. So in their adolescent age groups, they are curious, to see, what a cigarette feels like, what does beer or vodka or rum, they taste like, or what is a high, what is a kick like. So they want to do it sometime, at least once. And nowadays, the culture is changing, the traditions are changing. So the ways in which birthdays are celebrated is also changing. So most people, they when they start earning, or even in their college life, they start experimenting with these substances out of curiosity and sometimes out of peer pressure also. If they want to fall in a group, they try to do what the group does. And most youngsters, they want to feel like grown-ups. And when they do these kind of things, they feel like they have grown up. And it starts with curiosity or peer pressure. And the nature of these substances is such, the chemical properties are such, that they start hijacking the circuits in the brain. And then the body and the mind starts demanding for those addictions. And that's how they get addicted. They get dependent on these substances. So initially, if a person who is having a couple of pegs of alcohol to get a high, they develop tolerance, and then the same quantity does not help. So they go on for a higher quantity. And that's how the quantity increases. And this phase is called as they're developing tolerance to the drug. And then comes a stage when, if they don't have the drug or the substance, they start getting withdrawal symptoms. And those withdrawal symptoms are very disturbing. And they know that if I take the substance, the withdrawal symptoms will subside and I'll feel comfortable. So they get caught in the vicious cycle. So that is the stage of getting dependent on the substance. So what are the common causes for people to get into addictions? So there are biological causes and there are psychological causes. So let us see the biological causes. Did you know that addictions have a genetic basis? So there are changes in the genes when a person becomes addicted to substances, and that these changes, they are the vulnerability to get addictions gets transmitted to the next generation also. So there is genetic basis, and then the next generation is brought up in a family where they see the influence of alcohol. Very often the parents, they are the main idols in childhood, and children often imitate what the parents do. So they think that this is what a normal lifestyle is. You work hard and you party, and this is the way life is led. And that's how the nurture, the way the children are nurtured also makes it normal for them, for them to experiment with substances like alcohol and nicotine. So that is the biological reason. And the social surroundings, like we were talking about, it's becoming more and more common for people to associate the word celebration with drinks. Friends, get together with friends with drinks. So these associations have been formed in the society that, going out for dinner, it is like, goes without saying that, there will be alcohol. Or, celebration is with alcohol. Going out for outings, sometimes, friends go out together, or some families also go out together. And the commonest way of celebrating or enjoying holidays is having a drink. And of course, the social media and the movies, the way it is portrayed, it is fashionable to drink, and it's fashionable to smoke. So these influences definitely go a long way in preparing the person to feel that it is normal to do these addictions. And of course, there are other psychological reasons for addictions. And one of the main reasons for addictions is that it is often a fix for something. If you see nowadays, it's a competitive world. So students also, they are so busy in their academics that there is cutthroat competition, and you hardly get good friends. So most of the people, they are acquaintances, they are friends, just for the sake of. And everybody is, busy looking after their own benefit and, how they can, go ahead of the other people. So, finding good friends is so difficult nowadays. And because of that, there is a problem of loneliness now in the society. More and more people are, becoming nuclear. They are becoming lonely. Previously, many years back, when we were children, families used to go to each other to meet, spend time together. And that is hardly seen nowadays. Everybody is so busy in their own lives. So there is a lot of social isolation. Finding good friends is the problem, and to find good friends, you have to the peer pressure is there, to be like those friends. So loneliness definitely is a big reason for people who seek solace in addictions. And of course, many people, they have a lot of anxiety, they have underlying depression, they have personality problems, adjustment problems. And because of that, they go through a lot of stress. Interpersonal relations are stressful for many people. And they do not know how to handle that stress. So to handle that stress, they try out a few things, and very often, like it is glamorized on the screen also, that, if you have a couple of drinks, to take care of the stress and the temporary benefit, the temporary relief, uh, makes them, think of the same thing again the next time they are when they are stressed out. So that's how, they get into that vicious cycle, of trying to find a shortcut to handle the stressful emotions. And very often it happens that when they try these things under stress, these things are mind altering substances. So their behavior changes. And because of that, they start talking differently, they start behaving differently, and they end up into more quarrels in their interpersonal relationships. I know many people, who come to me for the problems of anxiety and depression, and they feel that when they take a drink or two, they become more talkative. They're able to express themselves more clearly, and their anxiety reduces. And it's like, they use alcohol or smoking or weed as a self-medication for their psychological problems. But this kind of self-medication has a lot of side effects, not only on the body, but also in relationships and every part of life. The finances, the social life, and the relationships, and the reputation also. So these are the various common causes for why people tend to go towards addictions. Like we said, the problem of loneliness, the problem of anxiety, depression. So these are also responsible for the behavioral addictions. So many people, they lack social skills. So to make friends, it is difficult. In person, they lack the communication skills, or they have low self-esteem because of various reasons. But it is easier for them to make friends from behind a screen. So it is less overwhelming for them. It's difficult to talk, but it's easier to type. So many people have 500, 600, 1,000 friends on Facebook, but they hardly have any good close friends in person. But that also gives them something that is missing in their lives. No social connection. Instead of no social connection, it's better to have some social connection. Maybe it is virtual. So that's how they learn to communicate safely, or from behind the screens. And that's how conversations on WhatsApp, they turn into flirtatious relationships. So these things, they give them a false sense of confidence, or a false sense of high, and they keep doing those things again and again. So the social media addictions, when they post their pictures and that what activities they did and videos, and they keep looking for approval from their virtual friends in the form of likes and comments. And if they don't get enough comments or likes, then they feel discouraged and sometimes depressed also. So this is how they start depending on this virtual ways of seeking some validation, some appreciation, some attention. These are the very basic human needs that are not fulfilled in their families or in their near and dear ones. because of which they tend to go towards this kind of behavioral addictions. So very often, life is so boring for children. That you hear this so often. I'm bored. I don't know what to do, and there's no one to play with. So, and it's such a competitive world for children also that achieving something is so difficult. There is always someone who is ahead of you, and this feeling of achievement, is what they get, from playing those video games, or mobile games, and the PlayStations, where there are various tasks, and there are various rewards for each level, and that sense of false sense of achievement they get by playing these video games, and that's how they get addicted to it, because it's so difficult to get that in real life, that they start living this virtual life. They feel like a hero when they play games, and they feel so invincible and so powerful. So these kind of fantasies are being played out in the video games, and that's how children, they get addicted to them. And like we mentioned before, that many people use shopping and eating food, the fattening foods or the sweet foods, the ice creams and the chocolates, when they are stressed. And of course, gambling to make a quick buck. So to match the lifestyles, to feel powerful, to feel important. Many people who go pray for the gambling addictions, they want to become rich fast, and they think that they know the game and they'll figure it out, and they bet some money, and so there is something called as the beginner's luck, and that gives them a false sense of that they know how to go about it, and later on they lose, and nobody likes to lose, so they want to cover up for their losses, and they, in that effort to cover up for the losses, not to feel defeated, they invest more money and they lose, and then they further invest and they take loans, and to repay one loan they take another loan. I remember one of my patients said he had taken 24 loans in a span of 3 years. So there is a big racket of loan apps, and you get a loan in 5 minutes. The amount is transferred in your bank account, and it's like iski topi uske sar. ऐसा करते करते एक loan फेडने के लिए दूसरा loan. That's how they get into the trap of loans, and these are high interest loans. And it becomes to repay those loans, they again have to gamble, because they cannot repay that amount by doing hard work in their service or in their business. So they just keep going down the downward spiral. So that's how those gambling addictions, they really eat up the money and the peace of mind of the whole family. So these are the common things that we observe, in our day-to-day clinical practice also. Since I'm in the field of de-addiction, so these kind of cases keep coming to me every day. So there is a lot of impact on the self-esteem, the impact on the social life, on the financial front, on the health, and the relationships. That's why these addictions, they are so very dangerous. And most people, they want to try try social drinking or occasional drinking, and there are people who go into a binge pattern of drinking. They drink for a few days and then they stop for a few days, and because I can stop for a few days, that means I have some sense of control, false sense of control, and that's why they restart, thinking that they'll stop in time, and the pattern goes on and on. It really disturbs their whole life. So very often I ask my patients and the people who come to me for help that, in spite of knowing that all this is harming you, why are you still going on and on about it? And the commonest reason that I get is that when they become dependent on those substances or on those behaviors, and when they try to stop it, there are withdrawal symptoms. Like, for example, a person who is into alcohol addiction, they get withdrawal symptoms like, they start trembling, they have tremors, they cannot sleep at night, they have palpitations, they start hallucinating also, they may get withdrawal seizures also. So they are unable to focus on work if they don't take the drink. So in spite of knowing that it is harming me, they still, to reduce those withdrawal symptoms, they keep doing it again and again. So very often the family members, they become so irritated with this repeated pattern of addictions that they start becoming critical of these people. And very often I've seen that these people who are very sensitive by nature, and when relatives become critical of them, that becomes a reason for them to keep doing those substances, those behaviors, to get a relief from that stress, interpersonal stress of those interactions. And so it's all a vicious cycle. The relatives are disturbed, the person becomes disturbed more, and it's a pattern that keeps repeating off and on. So these addictions, they have a kind of a relapsing nature. So very often people take treatment, or through their own self-control also, some people stop doing these addictions. But it is so multifactorial. There are so many factors around, because of which they tend to go back to the addictions. And then the relatives, they start losing faith. Okay, he's never going to improve. And all those expressed emotions, they add to the stress, and the addictions continue. So when people approach us for a way out of these addictions, so we usually go into the details about what is the cause in this particular person, what is the void that this person is trying to fulfill. So we try to go into those depths and see fair ways of meeting those needs, unmet needs. So we counsel those people, the family members also. And of course, we use a combination of medication and counseling to handle these patients, because we are able to manage the withdrawal symptoms with the help of medication. So it becomes easier for the person to hold the fort, and stay away from those addictions. So whatever the withdrawal symptoms are, symptomatically we treat them with medication, which is usually for a few days, or a week or two. And once the withdrawal symptoms they subside, it is easier for the person to remain sober or remain away from their addictive behaviors. And of course, with the help of counseling of the family members, we try to facilitate the recovery and prevent relapses. Because of the relapsing nature of this illness, we say, not a habit. Very often, we have to put some patients, we refer some patients to the rehabilitation center, like the one we have, Sahara Rehabilitation Center in Nasik. So this rehabilitation center, sometimes, it offers a structured environment for them and a protected environment, because they have to stay there for a few weeks. They are cut off from their addictions. They are cut off from those friends, who have those addictions, and who tend to, influence them or, perpetuate their addictions. So in the first week, there is a detox period, and, once the detox is over, the withdrawal symptoms are handled, then the process of attitude change and lifestyle modification begins. We do that in the form of daily interactive sessions in which various topics are handled, related to the addictions, related to lifestyle, related to handling emotions, related to relationships, the common problems that they are going to face when they go out back into the world. So we are trying to prepare them, through those interactive sessions about how they can, be away from their addictions and handle the day-to-day stresses and live a sober life. So in addition to the counseling techniques, we often use a lot of arts-based therapy methods. Very often, not everybody is talkative or expressive, and especially we deal with a lot of male population. So sometimes, they find expression through these activities. So we have drum circles, and we have visual art sessions, and we have some therapeutic objective behind those activities, which we after the session is over, we do the debriefing process, and what is the learning from this process, and those interactions really go a long way in helping them understand and assimilate the learnings. So there is the support of the doctors and the counselors, the support of the family members, and there are certain support groups also, like the Alcoholic Anonymous, the Narcotic Anonymous, and for the behavioral addictions, there are the Gamblers Anonymous, and the Sex Addicts Anonymous also is there. So these are the support groups, all over the world. What happens in a support group is that the people who are recovering from these addictions, so they share their stories, they share their experiences, how it was before the addiction, how it was during the addictions, and how life is after that they have been away from those addictions. And they inspire, the new people, to remain sober. So these support groups also, they help in a long way. Like there is a theory where these people become socially isolated. People tend to stay away from them. People don't invite them for their get-togethers, and this social isolation also plays a role in perpetuating their addictions. So this self-help groups like the Alcoholic Anonymous, AA meetings are there. So they again help them to integrate with other people, and reduce their social isolation. And the same thing needs to be done by the family members also. They need to be less critical and more supportive of the people who are who are caught in these addictions. So the family members also, they need to understand that the addict is also a victim. Very often the relatives, they feel that they are the victims of the behavior of the addicted person. But the addict is also very often a victim to various circumstances, to various psychological emotional problems. And the addiction is very often some way in which they are trying to deal with something. It could be a void, it could be anxiety, it could be depression, or it could be a lack of stimulation in life and boredom. They're trying to fill some void. And if that could be understood, and in some way the relatives could support, fill that void in more healthier ways, then that could help in the rehabilitation of such a person. So coming to the behavioral addictions, which are very common in our day-to-day lives, it's a very common complaint for parents to talk about their children's addictions. That my son has a video game addiction. We try so hard, and when we try to limit his time on the video game or on the social media, he becomes very irritated, and he back answers us and becomes aggressive, and we do not know how to handle it. And there is power struggle between the parents and the children, and the whole house is in a mess. So very often using their common sense, the parents try to do a few things, but it is a good idea to seek help, because it is very difficult to maintain your objectivity when you're emotionally involved in the relationship with the person who is addicted. And this power struggles, they bring out various kind of emotions, and very often there are the conversations escalate into arguments, and it all becomes difficult. So it is always good to seek help. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it could be a positive step, proactive step towards working on the problem. And also the caregivers, like the parents or the brothers and sisters and the relatives, they also have to set an example, for the children. So if the parents are on the mobile phone when they are having dinner or when they are going out for outings, then the children are bound to follow. Now, how will they tell their children, unless they themselves work on their addictive behaviors? So I often say, for when you have children, you grow up. So, uh, so unless the parents they work on their own addiction, they limit their time on social media, they limit the screen time, or the other addictive behaviors. How will they get across to their children? So, not preaching by advice, but preaching by example. That could help. So, charity begins at home. Start with your own self, and it is important because these things are, subtly having a lot of impact on your life. If you spend more and more time on the screen, you are going to. It is at the cost of other activities. It is at the cost of going to the gym. It is at the cost of pursuing your hobby. So entertainment on the phone is so easy. It's just a click away. But if you have to go to you play tennis, you have to go through the traffic and then reach there and find a partner. And there's so many things to do. So people tend to go through the easier ways. They tend to go, and then that's how they postpone doing the things that they always dreamt of, they wanted to, and go for the shortcut methods to entertain themselves. So the fact that the life is becoming more and more revolving around entertainment. Life is very often in most people's lives. The lives is revolving around entertainment, seeking entertainment. That is why these kind of addictions are developing, and it is time for all of us to take a look at how we are living our lives. What is my addiction? How is it impacting my life? It's time to take stock and make small changes, take steps and get out of it. Because very often these kind of addictions, they give very superficial pleasures, not solid pleasure, superficial pleasures. And that too after a few days or weeks or months, you tend to develop a tolerance for those pleasures, and then those pleasures are no longer as pleasurable as before. And then you need some more stimulation, and that's how these things increase. So it is definitely time, for all of us to take a look into what is the payoff and what is the price to pay. And it is time, for all of us to start paying attention to our social lives, in person, not virtually, because human beings have been social animals, and because of the changes, because of the so-called progress, under the name of progress, people have become more and more isolated. So it is time to rekindle our social lives, because the human connection is a great healer. So very often, this human connection is all that is needed for a person to heal. Apart from that, there are, I could give you quick tips, to how to handle screen addictions. But I would also like to, have some time for some question answers. So if you have any questions, so that we can have the remaining time for that, I could try to discuss things with the crowd.
So any of you, if you have any questions, thank you, Dr. Patil. Till now, whatever you have told us makes such a lot of sense. And you said about human connections are the best healer. So sometimes we don't understand that aspect at all. But yes, what you have said makes so much of sense. If anybody would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and we will have you talk to Dr. Patil directly. Anybody would like to have a question? Yes, Kalindi, you can unmute and speak.
Hello, Am I
Yeah.
audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Do I have to keep my video on?
It would be nice to see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. That was like whatever you said, sir. It's revolving around me actually, and I have 3 alcoholics at my place. So I found it very relatable, whatever you said, sir. And thank you for uh, putting the light. And it will be helpful for me. And I'm really blessed that I got to attend this meeting and take some tips like you said. And I'll just do it in short. I'll share that I had a physical abuse alcoholic husband, and it was 32 plus years, and I have 2 sons. They are adult, 30 and 26-year-old, and they too are now into social drinking. So as you said, it's genetic, or like I do agree. And from the point you mentioned about relatives, so really like after my marriage, after 1 year, I came to know about my husband's addiction, and I didn't get any moral support from my in-laws. They were 4 brothers, 2 sisters. We were boycotted. So my children, they also went through the physical abuse and that trauma, and that
You mean, yes.
reversible. So I mean, it was a dysfunctional family, and till date I'm recovering. I'm asking for help and seeking help. And the alcoholics, they are into the pattern that they take the alcohol, and my husband, he was into that pattern. He would meet with an accident, I would go and nurse him, bring him back home again, the cycle would start. And then he met with an hit and run case accident. He lost his memory. So then again, I had to then followed by my both sons accidents in 2018 and 19. So and then followed by lockdown. So this 5 years I was into hell, and the withdrawal symptoms. So you said I've gone through that, and I was even physically abused, even by sons in lockdown. So that time I didn't get any help. But whatever you said, sir, as if I felt that you are relating my story. So thank you for that. This and yeah, you said about Al-Anon. So I have joined, a few months back. So I think I'm on the part of recovery, and a little bit self-love I have started. I'm spending time for me, and detox. I can say that my mind, soul and body detox, I'm into that because I'm doing pranayam, meditation, yoga. I'm seeking help and learning to coping mechanism to stay with the 3 alcoholics, which is active alcoholism. So, and I really started loving myself now. I was not taking very good care of myself because of this dysfunctionality in the house. And I'm trying to help I'm not here to change. I don't want to change anyone, all the 3. But surely I would like to help my children because they need help. I know that. Also, my brother had told me about go for a divorce and you leave my husband, and do some job. But I took the responsibility of staying back and taking care, because even good citizens should be, uh, if I leave, it will be selfishness for me. Uh, phys- uh, but now that I'm not taking that unacceptable behavior, and I've uh, I have decided to stay back and help them. Though they are not taking my help, I mean they don't know I want to help them, but I want to. I'm trying my best. So if I get your number or any help, so I'll try connecting you. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And it is nice that you have joined the support group of Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon. That is for the relatives of patients who are addicted to substances. And you meet so many people who are going through the same problem, and the sharing also gives you some strength and support. And you get to know about the options that are available. So it is nice that it's been a brave journey for you, and it is always good to seek help. Yeah, you can always visit my website. It's by my name only, dranandpatil.com, for all the details. And take one day at a time. Taking one day at a time definitely makes the job a little less difficult. And definitely take good care of yourself. You've been your whole life, it's been around the working for the family, but take out some time, like you already started doing it, for your own self also, because as an individual, it's your duty to take care of yourself also. Developing your own friend circle is also important. So you should have a variety of sources from where you can get happiness and satisfaction. So definitely work on yourself. If you are in a healthy state of mind, you'll be able to do the needful in a better way. Yeah.
Thank you, Kalindi. Thank you, Kalindi, for sharing it. I think
Yeah.
it requires
Also,
a lot of courage to share it. Thank you so much. And as far
Also,
as Mr. Dr. Patil's details, we will give it to you, but running out of time. So we'll take the next person, Dr. Paula Goyal, and that will be the last question. And we'll share the details of Dr. Patil with you, Kalindi, okay?
Good evening, doctor. It was an excellent presentation. I am a pediatrician by profession. So my question to you is, a lot of children, especially the teenagers, are into gadgets. And we get a lot of social media addictions and gadget addictions, basically. And to a large extent, the parents themselves are responsible because they give the gadgets. And then after that, then there is the entire situation which crops up. So what do you suggest for that?
So the gadget addiction starts in childhood, when the mother wants to feed the baby.
Earliest addiction is from 2 months of age.
Absolutely.
2 months of age.
Just to feed the baby, the mother shows some YouTube video, and that's how the addiction starts.
But how can we, my question here is how we can tell the parents, because the parents will always blame the child. And as healthcare professionals, we know it's not a blame game basically, and the child has to be supported. So from the psychiatric point of view and from the psychiatrist point of view, because I'm a pediatrician, so we find it difficult to how to explain to the parent, like they're not willing to accept it. कि ऐसा तो होता ही है, ऐसा तो होता ही है करके. So what do you do in that situation? How do you explain?
Very often they do not know any other way of dealing with the problem, the day-to-day problems of feeding the child, or getting the child to listen to them and do things that they want the child to do. So fortunately nowadays there are so many workshops on parenting skills. So definitely if you are a parent, you need to do your homework. You need to polish your skills of parenting. So self-help groups can be organized. Workshops on parenting skills can be organized. A one-to-one approach would be too tiring. So one-to-many approach would be able to serve many people at the same time. Quick tips like first step is that the parents need to change their screen habits. They have to set an example themselves.
Role model.
Yeah, role modeling, and limit setting is most important. So putting all the notifications of the gadgets on silent, that they distract. And if the children they are studying, they have to put their cell phone in another room, on silent or on airplane mode, and not keep the phone on the same table as when they're studying. And encourage more and more offline studying, rather than online studying. And if the children they are attending any workshops or webinars, they have to you should ask the children to not use headphones. They should use the speaker of the gadget, because you never know what they're watching. Webinars and workshops or school lectures.
So do you think it would be wise if like I have seen it in some of our colleagues in the US, they basically ask the parents to give the kid their work laptops to do the work, to do their assignments.
Yeah, instead of
because
buying
the children know we figured out that it's very easy for the children to actually overcome all the net nannies and everything.
Yeah,
they are very sharp. The parents cannot keep up with that level of sharpness, unfortunately.
Right.
So would that be helpful if we tell the parents over here to give their work computer to the child?
That's a very good way. The gadget should not be that it is his gadget. It is just for the convenience. That the child is getting the gadget. So that sense of entitlement. No, this is my phone. I'll do anything I want. That should not be there. And of course, nowadays there are so many apps, which tell you about the time spent on the screen. There are reminders, to put the screen to close the Instagram or the YouTube. So these kind of things also help, but that also requires a lot of self-motivation. The best thing to do is, one of the good things that often works is that there should be a fixed time for the person to use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Say for example, for children, it is 11 to 11:30 in the morning. That is the time exclusively for these things, for games, for social media, or for watching videos, whatever. In the
That's
evening,
full time, no?
I'm just giving an example.
Uh-huh.
Just giving an example, because nowadays it is holiday time also, summer vacation. So another half an hour slot in the evening. So if it is decided, agreed mutually, that whatever they have to do in that half an hour, and after that half an hour it is over, they have to give back the gadgets and screens. If such an arrangement can be done, it could really help. So they know, right now there is some allotted time. This is not the time to casually do things. And children are creative, they find out ways of passing their time, creatively, they'll do things, if the gadgets are put away. Because the gadgets are the easiest way to pass time, to get rid of boredom. Those gadgets are kept
It's
away.
true.
Then they will use their creativity to pass their time,
Yeah,
And
but then by that time they come already, the hooking has occurred, and when they are try to take the gadget, there is so much of tremendous madness in the house, and then parents get to fight between themselves, and then grandparents enter the picture. It is a mayhem situation.
absolutely.
It's
So
a very bad
it's very
situation.
important. It's very important to offer alternatives. So alternatives like, joining a sports club, joining some hobby classes, and also the time that the parents spend with the children, it should not only for advising the children, or just to control them, but the parents should also have some fun time with children, and they should set aside some fun time for children, so that the rapport with the children is good. If parents keep lecturing their children, and just being after their life, to for academics, for this and that, so not just for that, and they should have some fun time together also.
So basically, maybe the parents need to control their screen time.
Absolutely, they have to
That
set an
is more
example.
important. That is more important, I
Have to
guess.
set examples. Yeah. So
Thank you so much.
If you give some alternatives, then it is possible to get the gadgets out. So for that, you have to use your creativity, and you also need to do your homework. Find out from the internet, from the blogs, from consultants, counselors, what options are available. If they run out of ideas.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, Paula, for your question. Very relevant for all of us, I know, who have small children and who are trying to educate them. So that was wonderful. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Patil. This has been a very enlightening session. And I'm sure all of us are looking forward to some talks like this in the future also from you. So thank you so much for being here today with us. And all the best. And for all of us, we have these programs every day at 8:15. So today was Tuesday. Tuesdays for Tuesday Talks, where we have eminent speakers. Tomorrow we have Wednesday Wellness, where you'll have a beautiful session of healing of a different form. All right. So look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow at 8:15. Thank you very much. All the best. Have a great day. Good night. Thank you, Dr. Patil.
Thank you.
Can I just add? That I have, I'm working for an NGO now. I have detached myself and I'm keeping myself busy in that. So it's a rescue mission, basically. I'm helping other alcoholic friends also, like those who are going through this. And I feel very good about it, that I can help someone, because that is the 12th tradition according to the fellowship I have to follow. Thank you, sir. And so
Wonderful.
I feel really Yeah, I see. I feel really grateful, and now I feel responsible. That as a citizen, I have to give back also to the society. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Karanji. Thank you, Dr. Patil. And yeah, we end the session now.